Hey friends, this is David Bedrick. I hope your evening is going well. I know for many people it's been a difficult time, not for all. Working with clients, then over years, then you see patterns and moments when things seem to erupt. So if you're having a difficult experience, I understand. Hey Julianne and Loretta, Christine and Trisha, I'm just going to give people like a minute or two. Hey Shoshana, nice to see you. I'm just going to say hello to people. If you all can hang in with me for a moment while I say hello and just give people a minute. Namaste, yes. That'd be cool. I'll just chat for a moment. It's been a while since I've been on Facebook Live. My schedule has been leading me. I guess I created it, so that's a good thing, a privilege. And then every so often I'm like, yeah. I feel like my schedule is like, you ever see a person walking with a dog and the dog is pulling one way and the person's pulling the other and they're sort of balancing each other out. I'm feeling like that. I used to have a Rottweiler. Her name was Maya. She had, thanks Loretta, she had a good pull on her. So I guess my schedule has a good pull. I'm talking about my schedule as if it's this third thing that's not me. I love it, actually. And it's an amazing privilege to, hey Mark, to work with so many people that I really appreciate. And anyway, so let me start a little bit. So my name is David Bedrick. I call myself a psychological activist. That's because I'm interested in psychology and social justice and the melding, the merging of those two. Hey, Christine and Lorna. So, hey, Mark, nice to see you. And Robert, good to see you. Hey, David. So I'm interested in the merging those two. During my days, I do a number of things. I work as a therapist, so I have a private practice. I schedule clients every 3 months, and then when I schedule, the next one will be March, April, and May. I do that in early February, and then bango, things fill up. Thank you, universe, for giving me such a blessing. I do that for 3 months. Then I teach. So I'm teaching a number of classes. And right now I'm teaching about body shame, and then another class for therapists, kind of a supervision class. Therapists can bring cases, and we talk about working with shame, and I'm doing some teaching. Hey, Sintra and Loretta. So, oh, you just retired. Hey, congratulations, I think. I'm lost. Yes, I understand. Hey, Heather. So I teach, and then I write. I've written a couple of books, Talking Back to Dr. Phil. Was the first book I published, I think, about 3-4 years ago. And at the beginning of last year now, wow, it's a while ago, I published a book called Revisioning Activism, which is about social activism from a psychological point of view. Hey, Gene, I don't want to say too much about those. I write for Huffington Post. I've stopped writing for them for various reasons. I'm not happy with some of the changes they made. I write a lot for Psychology Today. And then I try to do things like this. I try to manage a Facebook page, so if some of you are on that, then you'll meet me, and I try to bring in topics, and sometimes the topics get hot, meaning there's important content, emotional content, conflictual content, maybe about race or gender or something like that, and I try to manage that and hold the dialogue. And then Lordy Lord, I was going to say, I don't usually say that, then I probably respond to 50 to 200 messages in a given day, comments and things like that. So those are part of my work. Some of those things I get paid for, some of those things, obviously, being here right now, I don't. If you could, as a reciprocity in exchange, if you could share the video, I would appreciate that. You can just hit the share button and then it'll show up on your timeline. You can do that at the moment. If you're not comfortable doing that, then obviously do not do that. And if you want to wait and see, do I dig what's happening here, then do that. But I want to ask you for that as an exchange, because I try to do some thinking and preparing and give people what I call medicine. Everyone has their own medicine. I'm using quotes. I have my medicine. That means I try to offer people things, and some people can't afford to come see me privately, so they'll take a class. Some people can't afford to take a class, so they'll buy a book. Some people can't get a book. You can get them at libraries, or come to Facebook and interact with me and learn with me. Okay, excuse me. I got to get 2 pens. How else can I live? Hey, Catherine and Edie. So, hey, Natalie, nice to see you. Yeah, I love you too, sister. some months ago, I'm bad with timing, I wrote a number of posts about why therapists need to work on themselves. I was thinking about the kinds of things that I've been practicing for 20 some odd years, and then people come to me and say, I've been to a therapist and this happened, or I've been to another therapist or that happened. And then I supervise therapists, so therapists come to me to get help. I teach a class for therapists. I'm on the ethics board of the Process Work Institute and the faculty there. So I think a lot about what therapists need to do, the holes they fall into, what I need to learn over time and keep learning. So I wrote some things down, and a number of people appreciated that. They responded to that. They said, thank you. And I thought I should print those out, say them on a Facebook Live, and maybe add some words to those. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 of those things. I'm just going to read those, and then I'll say some words about that. Thanks for hanging in, friends. Good to see you again. It's been a while. Wow. Phew. It's been a while. Yeah. It's been I'm just feeling into myself. It's been a race or an uphill climb, a push to get through much of the time since the election. Phew. So much going on inside of people, inside of me, and my clients, in my world. So much to address, so much heat, violence, grief, beauty, things emerging out of such a radical shift, if you will, or an emerging, if you will, in the United States at least. Okay, so the first one I wrote down I'm just going to read this. I said, if I have not worked on my own helplessness, it'll be difficult to support my clients when they need to go deeper into their pain and suffering. Instead, I will need to make them feel better. It's an important thing because sometimes a client will come to me, hey Rhonda, and need help with something, and I'm not sure what to do. And I think, this is difficult, or they've tried a number of different strategies, and I'm not seeing an obvious direction. Now, at that moment, if I check myself, I'm feeling a little helpless. I don't know what to do. I'm exaggerating it now. I'm helpless. What can I do? This person's paying me. They're expecting something from me. I want to be able to give them something. I'm exaggerating the state of mind here. What can I do? I have to give them something. If I haven't worked on that state of mind, then I'm going to act out of it. That means I'm going to say, let me try to help you. Let me try to help you. I won't say it that way. I'm exaggerating the tone, but I'll try this. I'll try that. That's fine. But then I won't say, this is a difficult problem. I'm not sure how to proceed here. This is interesting. This hasn't come up for me before. I don't know. Let's think about this together. If I don't have an ability to hold that helplessness, if I haven't worked down that in myself so that I'm comfortable feeling like I don't know what to do, if I haven't worked on that, studied that, explored that inside till I can become at ease with, somewhat detached about that, then I'll override that, and then I'll start trying to make things better. That energy, when someone's in a difficult place, is not only useful. That energy tends to mirror a part of the general population which throws fixes at people and then doesn't go deep enough. And then I, as a psychological person, as a person coming to for psychological answers, am not giving them psychology. I'm giving them mainstream platitudes, attitudes, fixes, remedies, things like that. And I'm not sitting with them in that fire, in that heat, in that depression, in that dying process, in that addiction process. I'm not sitting with them learning and sinking, can you hear the voice? And sinking into the depths of where they are and discovering something not only new to help them, but discovering who they are. So that's a really important thing. Julie, thank you. Number 2, if I haven't worked on my ability to speak up and use my own voice in the world, I haven't learned that when I'm attacked, to speak up or to defend myself or to say no to people or to have some assertiveness. I'm not always perfect about that. I don't always do that. I haven't worked through my voice and my speaking up and my directness so much that I never have that problem. That's even good. It's good to know that inside I can't always do that. It's a kind of humility. But if I haven't worked on that, and I just feel like, I can't speak up to people. Well, that's because it's scary. That makes sense. Or that's because people overwhelm me. That makes sense. Well, that's because it doesn't always help to speak up to people. We all know that. That makes sense. But if I haven't practiced, wrestled with that edge, the edge between being quiet and not saying anything and giving a punch, my teacher Arnie Mandel says woof, giving a woof, speaking back, using my voice in affirmation of who I am, in assertion of who I am. If I haven't learned about that and studied that and know how scary it can be, when I can do it, when I can't, how to find that energy, use my voice, then when people come in and they talk about being overwhelmed or put down or pushed around inside by an inner figure, you're no good, or outside, if I haven't learned about that, I'm going to lean in a direction with my clients. I'm going to lean into the direction of saying, I understand it's hard to speak up. Me too. Oh yes, I've been hurt too. I've been victimized too. It's not always useful, it's true. Maybe you shouldn't speak up to that person. Those aren't bad ideas, except for if I'm leaning in that direction and I can't lean in the other direction when it's right, then I can't forward my client's voice. I'm not comfortable speaking up. I'm not comfortable making a woof, as my therapist and teacher would say. I'm going to lean towards not having my clients make a woof. So sometimes people say to me, well, it's so-and-so put me down, my teacher, a friend, my parents. But I'm mimicking people not to put them down, just to mirror a basic attitude. It never does any good. It's not going to do any good. And if I say, yeah, that's true, it's probably not going to change them. As opposed to thinking, who cares whether it does good? Do you know how good it is to hear the sound of your own voice, the music of your own voice, the drumbeat of your own voice, the flower of your voice whispering in tenderness, the sweetness of your voice saying, please don't hurt me, the pounding of your own voice saying, no way. If you don't know that, if you haven't heard it and enjoyed it and said, aha, that feels really good. I heard my own voice. Maybe no one else will change. I've heard my own voice. That is therapeutic. That's medicine for many people. So again, if I haven't worked on bringing out my own voice, I might lean in one direction. That's okay. You don't have to do that. It may not be so good. Maybe people won't change. Instead of leaning in the other way, when it's right for a person, let's explore what it's like to use some of that energy. What would you say if you were free? I might say to many clients, even if you never say that to the other person, let me hear, I would say, but then I'm thinking, let's you and I hear the sound, the magnificent beauty of the trumpet that you play when you speak. Whew, I like that. I'm passionate about that topic. Woof! Christine, thanks, and hey, Louise, nice to see you, and Teresa. Similar, number 3, if I haven't worked through issues around being criticized, that means I'm used to I've worked on somebody criticized me, my parent criticized me, my professors criticized me, my friends criticized me, my spouse criticized me. I'm going fast. If I haven't worked on what it's like to be criticized, how it hurts, if I can't get in touch with my own hurt, it does hurt because I have to be too tough. Or if I can't get free to say, no, I don't like that. Or if I can't get free to say, I want to run away. These are different responses to people criticizing me. It's okay to want to run away. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a natural response. If I'm not comfortable with that, and my client says, I want to get away from that person, I can't say, get away as far as you can. Or if my client says, it hurts, I can't, then I'll say, well, you should speak up to people. Instead of saying, tell me about the pain. It does hurt. You can get hurt. You're a vulnerable person. Or if my client has a big reaction, as I was saying before, and wants to fight back, then I won't support that. So if I haven't worked on my own being criticized, I won't be able to stand to offer all those possibilities. And then one more important thing. Sometimes as a therapist, not so irregularly, clients criticize me. Sometimes they'll do that directly. That won't work. A student said to me the other day, you just passed over another student and you didn't listen to that person. They were right. I wasn't listening well. And I won't stand for that. I'm speaking up for that fellow student in the class. You were pushing past them and they were showing you that they didn't want to go forward. I miss that. Now, when that student criticizes me, a student or could be a client, if that happens and I haven't worked on my own criticism, then I get defensive. If I get defensive, I do one of two things. If I haven't worked on what it's like to be criticized, I do one of two things. I start defending myself. Well, that was the right thing to do. And I think, let me tell you why I did that. Let me tell you why I'm right. Sometimes useful, sometimes not useful. Or I try to hide the fact that I'm hurt. And I go, yes, that's fine with me. I'm totally okay. And the person goes, that feels weird. He's stiff. I'm not okay in myself. I can't say, ooh, don't love always hearing criticism. Everybody understands that, but I'm sure glad you said that. If I can say that kind of thing, then the process is going to flow, and then people and clients and students are going to feel more free to say to me, David, I don't like that. David, that didn't work. You've been hurting me. I don't like what we've been doing for the last 3 sessions. Or they might say something subtler. I'm not sure if that's going to work for me. Or they'll resist what I'm doing. And if I haven't worked on my inner criticism, then when a client resists, meaning they don't go along with my brilliant advice, resist. I'm quoting that. If they resist my advice, then I think, it hits my ego. What's wrong? Am I not doing something wrong? They not like me? As opposed to thinking, they got some force. They're pushing back on me. Maybe they need some help to push back further with me. Maybe they need to resist things inside. Maybe they need to resist things outside. I can't have the room to think that because I'm getting defensive. I'm getting hurt. I haven't worked on being free to be criticized. Not only therapists and healers, all teachers, all leaders need to be free to be criticized. We just saw this in part with the president. Her name went out of my mind, I'm so sorry. President of Michigan State University who resigned. And then all those women, 164, I think, women came forward about that. Dr. Larry Nasser, and said they were sexually abused, sexually assaulted by this man. And then the school who hired him, who dealt with him for years, apparently got messages from different people. How could they not? Apparently got signals, information, messages, direct messages, indirect messages, and didn't do anything about it. And now the president now this criticism's coming towards that Larry Nasser. He's been convicted and going to jail. And now criticisms are coming to the Olympic Committee, who also used him as a doctor, and the university. Now he's the president of the university. She has a fair amount of power in that place. She has been there for quite a while. I can't remember how long. She was president for a long time while that doctor's there. And she says, people take out their anger. I can't remember exactly her words, but something like this. People take out their anger. I understand people take out their anger. It's misplaced on people like me. She can't say, because she hasn't worked on herself, I hate taking criticism. I hate being publicly criticized. Who likes it? I hate it. But she can't also say, I'm in a role. I'm a therapist as David. I'm a teacher as David. I'm the president of the university. And I stand for this university. And this university failed people. And someone has to stand there. And because I've worked on being criticized, I don't like it. It hurts. I have a friend who's going to help talk to me about it after I show them how hurt I am. But now I can deal with that and I can say, I'm standing here as a representative of this university. She doesn't have to take it on personally. She can say, as a representative of the university, I have failed these people. The university has failed. The president of the university has failed. I'm saying it that way. I'm amplifying the role that she can stand in because she can personally handle it. The president, the CEO of British Petroleum, they had that huge oil leak, lots of problems, and that person comes out and says, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I'm dealing with all this criticism. Oh my gosh, that person has no idea that they're a person with a huge amount of power. I'm the CEO of British Petroleum. I have whatever, doctors, therapists, homes. I have lots of privilege. I'm white, I'm male. He's got all these different privileges. And rather than him being okay with that criticism, he's worked through it a little bit. He's feeling like a victim. I'm being victimized by everyone attacking me. He can't say, I do feel that way, but I've worked on that. But look at all the people whose businesses are hurt, the animals that are hurt, the earth that's being hurt. Can I also absorb some of that criticism and respond from a place of inner empowerment? Anyway, therapists and healers have to work on being able to be criticized. Okay. Number 4. Thanks, Adele, for being here. Sabine, Jeremy. Hey, Lauren. Good to see you. If therapists haven't worked on their shame, I wrote originally work through. Who works through all their shame? I don't know. I'm not that enlightened. I have some. So if you haven't worked on it for a while, wrestled with those issues, then they treat their clients like they're failing or not doing what they're supposed to do. If I don't understand shame well enough, and I haven't worked on my shame, then when I give a client a suggestion, why don't you try this? Here's a good idea. I would try it this way. Let me help you with this. And if a client comes back and says, well, it's still not working. I'm still not losing weight. Or I tried that. I'm still putting a needle in my arm. I thought I could speak up to my parents after I talked to you. I still haven't done it. I don't want to have to tell you that. Can you follow? If I haven't worked on my own shame, then I look at that person and say, whoa, yeah, I see that. Yes, let's try another strategy. I don't think, that person feels like a failure. That person's ashamed of what's happening for them. I don't recognize that. I don't think my idea wasn't so useful for them. I don't think I recognize they're being put down. I don't think something's wrong with how I'm approaching things. I don't see that they're sitting in a body of shame right there. That's a big thing. Okay, I'm going to say this one quick because we're moving along and I'm caring for my time. In my view, therapists need to work on their own family issues. Not everybody, but most do. Why? Because many people have conflict with their families, and if you're not okay, because you have a value system that says people shouldn't hurt people shouldn't hurt their families, people should forgive their families, people shouldn't walk away from their families, people should stick with their families through thick and thin. Those are not bad ideas or good ideas. They're just some people's ideas. They're just your ideas, dear whoever you are, dear therapist or counselor. But your client, that idea might not be right for them. They may be needing support to walk away from their family for a year, for a week, forever. If you can't support that, if you can't, not just support saying, yes, go do that, support that meaning, I get it. Of course you do. Ooh, maybe you need to do that. Let's talk about that. Do you need the freedom to do that? Do you need to walk away emotionally? Do you have to make a clear line barrier in the world saying no more? If I'm not free to do that, then I'm going to corner my client in a box that shows them, because of my attitude, because of the way I'm thinking about it, that that's not an acceptable option. They're bound in. I'm locking them into a certain place that's not good for them. In a way, I'm saying they can't leave an abusive situation. You have to be free about that. You can't have your own values, in my opinion, override the information from the client. Some therapist asked me once, but what happens? I was teaching a class at a university. I taught for 8 years. What happens if I do think that? What happens if I do think people should forgive their families no matter what? Then I said, then you must tell your clients, this may not be good therapeutically for you, but I'm a person, because I'm a pastor, counselor, or whatever I am, who believes in forgiveness no matter what of family. I believe in that. And if it's right for you to leave, I won't be able to support you. I'm going to push you in this direction. It's what I deeply believe. I wish I could offer you another solution at times, but you should know that's the kind of person I am. I hope that's right for you because I have those biases. Very important. Speaking about working on family issues. If you are a therapist and you haven't worked on sexism, racism, and other isms that may relate to your clients, anti-Semitism, homophobia, Islamophobia, etc. If you haven't worked on those issues inside and out, learned about them intellectually, and worked them inside, so I know as a male person where my blinders are about women. So I work as a male person knowing how sexism affects me as a male and makes me try to be tough and not vulnerable. If I don't understand those things, I'll miss things. So then a woman came to me in a class, I won't want to tell the details because I don't have permission, and said, I'm having a struggle. And I said, tell me about the struggle. And she said, well, it started when, this is a different story, when I became a mother. It started when I started menstruating. It started when I entered menopause. If I have a woman who says that, then I might say, because I'm relatively, not perfect, free, I might say, I'm an ignorant male. I'm making a joke, I'm playing, I'm not only an ignorant male. I'm an ignorant male who doesn't know very much about menstruating. I've learned a bunch, I've studied a bunch, I've had women clients talk to me about it, but please educate me a bit. If I can't be free, that's one way of being free, somebody else may be free in another way. If I can't be free to show, that's an issue that might bring up men, female, she might be shy about that, ashamed about that, I really might not know something about that. If I'm not free around that, then a kind of sexism enters the atmosphere, and now gender, I'm not trying to be a bad guy, it's just the fact that here I have this partly shaven face, I have this male kind of physique and body thing and attitudes that might get in the way. So I need to be open in that spot. If I'm working with somebody who says, I'm interested in S&M in my sexuality. And if I think, ooh, that's all bad, that's all terrible stuff, people shouldn't do that. If somebody brings it up and I don't know much, then I have to go study, ask another therapist that knows more than me. I can do that regularly. Or I have to say, I don't really know much about that. I don't want to judge you, lay something on you, think that's all about abuse because I've been abused as a kid and I'm working through that and I can't see you very well. If you want to stay with me, then it's going to be partially me learning. Maybe that's going to be great for you because I'm a learner. Or maybe I should recommend somebody who knows that territory. I have to work on those kinds of issues. Really big if I'm with an African-American person and I don't know much about race, I better learn something or tell them I don't know much about race. So when they say, I was with my boss and my boss did something to me and I got really angry and I thought I better not do that in my job, and that's a black person, and I'm not thinking, I wonder if that boss is white, I wonder what that's like for that person, I wonder if for that person if it has to do with race, it might be. They might be afraid to be seen as an angry black person. If I'm not thinking those things and can't offer my intelligence or ask questions about that if I don't know, then my unconscious racism, not that I'm a bad guy, I'm a bigot, but that I'm looking at that as a personal psychological problem, and I'm not thinking about that as a social racial issue, that person becomes shamed. I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, tell me what it's like as a black person being angry at work and not being able to do that. If I can't frame that and have my clients say, yes, that's important, or no, David has nothing to do with race, then I drop it. But if I can't frame that and see that, then I'm treating that person like they have a psychological problem, not that they're entering a world that has a psychological problem around race. Super important around those social issues. Too much psychology is not training people to not only learn about social issues, but study them inside ourselves so we know them well. I got a few more. Can people hang in? Okay, do your best. I always think I'm going to go quicker, and it never happens that way. Okay, if I haven't worked on my relationship with death and dying, then I'm going to create a subtle conflict when my client faces their own, and shame them potentially if they feel suicidal. If I haven't worked a little bit on death and dying, am I afraid of dying? What do I imagine it's like dying? Can I work psychologically on dying? What would it be? Can I imagine dying? Can I work on my mother's death? Can I work on my father's death? What happened for me? Can I work on my own death? How am I dying? How am I already dead? Can I make contact with dying experiences? It's hard. I'm hesitating because it's hard for me to explain all of what that means to work on dying. If I haven't done some of that and got some okayness with dying, doesn't mean when someone wants to hurt themselves or kill themselves, I should say, oh, great, wasn't that wonderful? I'm so accepting of dying. I'm not saying that. But I might need some acceptance because people do die, people do kill themselves, people do want to kill themselves. So if a person comes to me, that's a heavy topic, I'm sorry. And if I'm talking about someone out there who my ideas is not right for, throw my ideas out, don't believe anything I say. That's always true. Throw my ideas out if they're not resonating. But for me, because I've worked a lot on dying and suicide and suicidality, and a person says to me, I want to kill myself, I'm not only thinking, that's a terrible thing, don't do that. A part of me thinks that, how can I stop you? And a part of me thinks, I wonder if they're wanting to end something. I wonder if something needs to die. Maybe death is not only a bad thing. I make a space, a psychological, spiritual space where dying, hopefully psychologically, is not only a bad thing. And I have worked on with people who have said, I'm preparing myself to die. Can you help me? And that means not only fight me on that issue. And I say yes. And I worked in hospice for a while, and I worked with clients who were dying. They were great teachers. Some of you have done lots of work on that and know that. It's a very important thing. Can I be open to that? Or if the person is dying, they have some kind of illness. Some of you know Kathleen. I did a Facebook Live about her. She said I could do that after her death. She had lung cancer. So then I'm working with her, and I can't only be thinking, how do I make her better? I have to think, you're dying. What's dying about for you? So when she says, I'm having a problem with this person, I'm having a problem with that person, I can say, yes, all those problems are real. Let's talk about dying. What does that mean to you? Can we practice a little bit? Can we imagine dying so I don't get too caught in that particular problem? I was once in a supervision class with Arnie Mindell. We had a bunch of therapists, and a woman therapist, she was working with a client, and she said her client was dying. I can't remember what she had. I think it was like a stage 4 cancer. She probably had a few months because she was drifting in and out of consciousness. And Arnie Mandel said, "What are you working on with your client?" And the therapist said, "Well, she's been an alcoholic her whole life, and I'm trying to help her get over the alcohol problem before she dies." And Arnie Mandel said, "You're working with, she has like a few months to live, and you're talking to her about alcohol?" And the therapist said, "What should I do?" And Arnie said, "Let her drink. She's dying. The problem is going to go away shortly. I guarantee it. Talk to her about dying. Talk to her about leaving everybody. Talking about what it likes, what she thinks spiritually. And if she wants to have a drink or 2 or 3, let her tell her, don't worry about it. Alcoholism's going to go away so shortly." Okay. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it. Hey, Lisa Blair. Whew. 2 more. If I haven't worked with some issues over years and decades for myself, problems that I've worked on that I haven't gotten over, that have plagued me and I had to surrender to, fall in love with myself regardless of, if I haven't done that, study what it means to work on something and not have it change slowly, have it change in a way I didn't think, not resolve in the way I thought my healing would lead to. If I haven't done that, then I can't understand and support a client when they bring a process to me that's not going to change quickly. Then when a client comes to me with an addiction, and that addiction, hello Deborah Myers and Sandy, if I haven't gotten used to that, I was thinking, okay, I'm going back to addiction. Some people come with an addiction, and I think because of their dreams and what they're showing me, this ain't changing fast. This ain't changing in a month. This ain't changing in 3 months. This person may struggle with that kind of addictive tendency, maybe for their life. Let's say I have that thought, or I'm thinking about it, or my dreams are telling me about that. Then I have to understand there are seasons in people's lives, like nature. This may take a year. This may take 3 years. This may be a lifetime, a generation of certain difficulties. How do I help the person get along with their nature? How do I help the person get along with the season? Otherwise, I become complicit in trying to change the person. It doesn't work. The person feels like a failure and shame because they can't make themselves different. This is a big thing. How do we get along with, how do we fall in love with the rhythms, the seasons, the things that do change and don't change? And when things don't change, friends, it's not only a bad thing. Sometimes when a specific thing doesn't change, I can't make my body smaller. I can't stop being too rough in relationships. I can't stop certain patterns of getting involved with people that I get hurt by. When people can't change those things, sometimes their process deepens and they find out things about themselves they would never know. Profound things, spiritual things, answers to what it means to love themselves. They're even more profound than changing those habits. If I'm addicted to changing the person, and they say, help me change this, and I kind of go, I'll help you change it, I'm on my white horse, yee! Don't worry, 20 therapists have failed, I'm the answer. If I have only that attitude, I'm going to miss something, because I haven't worked on myself and thought, oh, I know what it's like for something not to change the way people, I can hold that and love that, I can model what it's like to be a neurotic person who's a big mess and still love myself. Huge medicine. Woof. Hey, Lauren. Yeah, thanks talking about that. Joy is watching, Louise. If you are digging this, I'm going to say one more. If you're digging the live, can you please hit the share button? I would really appreciate that. That's, I've said before, it's a kind of reciprocity. I give this to you. It's a effort and a offering. You say, I'll share this in return so the message reaches more people, David, so the effort you put in also allows other people to hear who you are. I'm not saying that so I can get clients. I have a full practice. It's so the message gets out there. And if you feel like that's just not right for me, don't do that. I bow to you. I'm not upset with you. And if you just think, it's not exactly the message I want to share, or I'm shy about that, or not digging what's happened here, then don't do that. But if you could, I always want to ask you and to appreciate that. Okay, last one. If I have avoided my own depths and shadow, my greedy parts, my angry parts, my hostile parts, the parts of me that want to hurt people when they disagree with me on Facebook, and I don't want to be nice to them. I love to take them down and humiliate them. Those parts. Or the parts of me that are desperate. I'm so desperate for this. I'm so desperate for that. I want everybody to like me, and I'm so ashamed of that. I'm trying to get over it, but I can't. whatever that shadow territory is, if I haven't worked on that, then I'm going to try to help my clients get over theirs. If I haven't worked on my own desperateness. One of my favorite poets died, I don't remember now, 20 years ago, Etheridge Knight, African-American poet. He wrote a poem. He was a junkie, a drug addict, and ended up in prison. And he wrote a poem. It said something like this. I'm going to misquote. Sorry, Etheridge. He said, "My life, the quality of which can be defined in one word." And then he writes in all capital letters, desperation. Then he says, but you have to feel for it. If you meet me and get to know me and feel into who I am, you'll feel a desperateness. Now, I've worked on my own desperateness because I'm a desperate human being. I'm desperate for justice. I'm desperate for love. I'm desperate to change people. It's not just sort of okay. It's a passionate desperateness. Sometimes that gets easier. Sometimes not. If I haven't worked on those things and a client comes to me and says, I'm desperate, I'll say, oh, yes, I understand. Let's look at that so that we can help you be less desperate. Oh, I'm so needy of love. How come I just wait? I just got met a new person and I'm hoping to go on a date with them, and I sent them an email and I'm sitting by the phone and I'm like, David, stop. The person says, I said not look for the phone. Why am I can't stop looking to see if the text is coming? And I say, oh, have you looked? Do you look twice every minute or 10 times every minute? And they laugh. Why are they laughing? Because I'm not freaked out thinking they need to change the fact that they're sitting by the phone 10 times to check for the email. That's called being human. That's called being a desperate human being. They say, you would do that? Oh, shoot, yeah. If I send out, or if I'm in a conflict with somebody and they send me a message and I send something back that I'm worried about, I wake up in the middle of the night, check 10 million times to see if they wrote back. Not 10 million, but you get the idea. If I'm not comfortable with that with myself, I'm against that in myself, then I'm not going to say to my client, oh yeah, you're a human being. How amazing. Let's see that desperateness. How desperate are you? Please, please, please love me. I say, go more. Say it more. Please, please, please love me. Wow, that need for love in you. How amazing. You have a deep need for love. What a sensitive person. Amazing that you have that much need for love. Thank God you need love that much. Really? Yeah. Oh my gosh. That heals more than getting people over things. So many things heal. I'm so greedy. Why am I so greedy? What are you greedy for? Show me that greed. How much do you want to grab something? I'm so jealous. What's that jealousy like? I want nothing. I want me to have things and nobody else to have them. Yes, go for it. Wow, and then I find out that person's always giving things away and never grabbing things for themselves. If I can't go into those territories because I buy into, yes, jealousy is no good, greed's no good, power is no good, etc., whatever it is. If I'm not okay in that territory, my clients are going to not feel okay in that territory. We're going to be complicit. We're going to collude to make that person different, and not going to get to the depths of who they are, where there are powers and medicines that belong to them. Woof! Arnie would say, hey, Janice and Dee and Pai Fang, I hope I'm getting that right. And Rosalie, thank you so much, friends. Really appreciate you being here. I'm going to take off next week. I'll write something about that, but that's why I wanted to come in and say, God, I got to reach people again. It's been too long since I've reached out to people who don't get to get whatever I have to offer. So I hope it's medicine for you. If you agree with some things, you resonate, amen. That's great. If you totally disagree, great. Believe in your disagreement and know that that's intelligence of yours. That's different from mine. It's perfect that I say this and you say, that's exactly wrong for me. Perfect. Okay, everybody, have a great night. Bye.